whenever I speak, I do door-to-door pricing. So if you're going to uproot me from my routine of waking up with my family, having breakfast with my daughter, being able to kiss my wife.
Wake up, it's time to be free. Wake up, was blind, now I see. Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
So welcome. It's Julian Gordon here with another episode of the Daily Jules. It does not matter how many college degrees you have. What really matters is how start over, time out. Welcome. It's Julian Gordon here with another episode of the Daily Jules, a show designed to help you increase your degrees of freedom. It does not matter how many college degrees you have. What really matters is your degree of freedom. It does not matter how much money you make. What really matters is how you make money. And so this question actually came from Bill this week, and Bill was curious to know how to charge for speaking. He got an inquiry from a medical school on how he could come in and train their students on how to be better with their financial management. He is a certified financial planner and investor, and so they invited him to speak, and that's exciting, but he didn't know how much to charge. And so I've been charging for speaking for almost a decade now, and I want to share my perspective on that because there is no one standard price. So how to price for speaking. Okay, so let's discuss that. Now, I get this same question when I'm in a sales conversation with someone around speaking who wants to bring me in. They say, oh, what's your price? And I have to let them know that it depends on a lot of variables. And I want to share with you some of those variables that you have to consider whenever you are thinking about pricing yourself for speaking or getting into a conversation like that. Okay. Now, there's two approaches to speaking or pricing your speaking. There's the value-based approach and there is the cost-based approach. And typically your price is actually going to fall in between the value-based and the cost-based. Okay. And then your price will likely fall in between somewhere here. Okay, so let's talk about value-based first. So let's say, for instance, that I go to a college and that college is has a low retention rate, and they are interested in bringing me in to speak. Now, what's the value of me speaking? They can't really determine it. There's no specific determinant, but I can reverse engineer in my mind a ballpark number for the value of me coming to speak to a class of 1,000 freshmen, right? Because here's the deal. If my speech, and it's not trackable, right? Or it could be trackable, but it would take some work. If my speech gets one student to stay past the first semester that would have otherwise dropped out, how valuable is that to the school? Now, if tuition at that school is $20,000 per semester or $40,000 for the year, or it's just $10,000 per semester and $20,000 for the year, if I get a student to stay an additional semester that they would not have otherwise stayed had they not heard my speech, then the value of my speech to that school could be $10,000, and that's only if I saved one student, right? If I save one student. Now, can I prove through my speaking that I prevented one student from dropping out? Not always. However, at CUNY's Cortland, at SUNY Cortland, there was a student who actually messaged me on Facebook afterwards and said, as a result of I was thinking about dropping out, and I can take a screenshot of it for you. As a result of your speech, I decided not to drop out, and I'm still enrolled at SUNY Cortland. So I know that that is the impact. Now, this was a room of about 400 students, and I know that now this is the only woman that told me that she didn't drop out, but I know that when I deliver, I save students from actually dropping out. Dropping out of college is a $1.2 million decision for them. When you think about $30,000 additional dollars per year over 40 years, that's $1.2 million if they drop out. And when I give them those kind of numbers in the presentation, I know that I change hearts and I change minds. So the value to that school, the value-based pricing could be 10K plus. because that's just one student that I'm aware of. If I just save one student from your freshman class for staying another semester, and that's not even accounting for them staying 2, 3, 4, 5 additional semesters, right? This is just saying if they stay one semester, I know that the value of my speech is at least $10,000. Now, the client may not believe you, so that's why you aren't always able to command this, right? Then there's cost-based. There's cost-based, and cost-based is usually connected to your time and travel, okay? So whenever I speak, I do door-to-door pricing. So if you're going to uproot me from my routine of waking up with my family, having breakfast with my daughter, being able to kiss my wife, you're going to disrupt that and have me come to you, then you're going to pay me from the moment I leave my front door to come to you, because you're disrupting my rhythm, right? And so I have door-to-door pricing. So travel includes flight, hotel, car insurance, right? Food, per diem food. That's the travel expenses, okay? And so let's just say I'm going to California and it's $400 round trip, another $150 for the rental car, and then another $150 a night, 2 nights at the hotel. So we are what? That's $450. So let's just say travel is around $1,000. You're not going to have me come out to California, charge you $2,000 and $1,000 of that is going to travel. No, that has to be accounted for. Now, each of us actually values our time differently. There's some of you who value your time at $20 an hour. There's some of us who value our time at $500 an hour, right? So your time all depends on you. So let's just say I'm doing a 20, actually, my favorite type of speaking engagements are 30-hour round trips, where I leave here in the morning, right? I go land there around 1 or 2 o'clock. I deliver that evening. I go to sleep near the airport, at a hotel near the airport, not just near the airport. And then I wake up, take the first flight out, and I get home in time to actually see my daughter off to school. That's usually a 30-hour round trip. So if you're taking me away from home for 30 hours, and let's just say I take off sleep, right? You're not responsible for my sleep, but I multiply that by a certain number of dollars per hour. And let's just say you value your time at $100 per hour, right? That would be 3,000 plus this 1,000 equals 4,000. So you would feel good going and doing this day trip for $4,000 if this is how you value your time. But again, all of us value our time differently. So now we're in between $4,000 and $10,000 in terms of your price point for speaking. But there's some other variables that we have to consider when we're thinking about our price. We have to consider, is this potential repeat client? Potential repeat. I have clients, speaking clients, who literally, they just call me up and say, Jules, are you available this date? Yeah, just change the date on the contract and send it back to me. So if this is not just going to be a one-time opportunity, right, then, and I know that there's huge potential if I rock for them to actually bring me back every year until for some reason I suck, then you might be willing to go down on this, right? Because you know that it'll be $3,000 guaranteed every single year for the next 3 to 5 years, right? So is there potential for repeat? Is there opportunity to upsell, right? Is there opportunity to upsell or sell from the back of the room? So if I do a speaking engagement for 1,000 students and then the school gives me permission, or the corporate client gives me permission to sell my book from the back of the room, and I sell 10%, so I sell 100 books at $20 each, right? That's an additional $2,000, right? If I'm confident that I can get 10% of the room to come get an autographed book and pay for it, then that's an additional $2,000 that I would get beyond just what the client paid, right? So there's that opportunity. The other thing I do, will I have to stay an extra night? So if the speech is timed in such a way where I'm gonna have to stay an extra night, and that's actually gonna rob me from speaking somewhere else the day after because of where the location is, then they're actually responsible, in my mind, in terms of a pricing standpoint, for that day, right? For that day that I cannot speak somewhere else, right? But if they allow me to, if they time my talk in such a way where I can get out and actually be serving another client the next day, then I don't account for that, right? So this is something you have to consider. You also can consider their budget. Your value may be way up here, right? And you may have done your cost-based pricing, but their budget may just not be there. And this is where you have to know what your walkaway number is, where you're just like, no, I can't do it. I'd rather spend my time doing this instead. This is more valuable to me over here instead of going over there for this number. So sometimes their budget may not be in alignment with your value-based pricing or even your cost-based pricing. And so you have to be very clear about your walkaway number, okay? So these are some key factors when it comes to me thinking about my speaking prices. The other thing, so this is opportunity to upsell from the back of the room. The other thing is opportunity to upsell the actual client themselves. So if they add on, if they decide to buy books for all 1,000 students, right? Or the company decides to buy the 8-cylinder success for all 1,000 employees, and I have clients who do that, then I may actually discount speaking and just charge them for a little bit for speaking and then full price for the books, right? So there's all kinds of things to consider when pricing speaking. Is it my busy season? I charge more for my busy season than I do for my slower time. So my busy season, especially when it comes to college speaking, is August, September, October. So if you want me during these peak times, right, then you're actually going to have to pay peak prices, right? So the season or the time is actually another factor. So this is how I would, one more is, do I have to customize? Do I have to customize, right? So I have some standard talks that I give, but if you want me to create a new presentation or new talk based on your unique conference theme, then I'm gonna have to invest a lot of time and energy and research in order to do that. And so I'm actually gonna charge you more than if you just chose one of my bread and butter talks off the top of the shelf, which I don't have to do a lot of preparation for in order to deliver in a powerful way. So so first and foremost, you start with value-based pricing. Then you think about cost-based pricing, which is usually less than value-based pricing. And your sweet spot may be somewhere in the middle. But then there's some other factors that you definitely need to consider when you're thinking about your pricing, like customization, the potential repeat business, opportunities to upsell the client themselves or the attendees. Do you have to stay an extra night based on the timing of your talk? Their budget and the time of year it is for you, right? So this is how I would think about pricing speaking. There's no universal price that works based on what industry you're in. It all depends on a variety of factors, primarily how much you value your time and how valuable your message is to the potential audience. And not just valuable internally and emotionally, because that's not as tangible, but like tangible, real dollar for dollar value of your talk to this particular audience. All right. So for those of you out there who want to step into speaking and maybe start off with trying to get one new speaking gig every single month that could put in $4,000 into your bank account, this is how I would think about your pricing, and I'll go more into other ways to develop your speaking business in some later episodes. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for listening. If this episode blessed you, please make sure to like it, share it, and give us a review on iTunes as well, so that we can spread this message to as many people as possible. So with that, it's Julian Gordon here, and I want to say thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace. I hope these mindsets, metaphors, and methodologies blessed you. If you desire more freedom, go to getfreenow.com to subscribe to the show on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook, and get 4 of my best courses in the Freedom School for 100% free.